Something that has also gotten very mixed reviews was Adam McKay's Vice, which dropped prior to Christmas. And I think the one thing we can say for certain, and probably don't need to harp on it too much, only because it's being said everywhere, he's already been nominated for a Golden Globe. Christian Bale is incredible as Dick Cheney in this movie. Like his performance is similar to Gary Oldman last year as Churchill. Just he embodies this person to a T. Is the movie good though? That's the question I think people are sitting with. Is Adam McKay made The Big Short? It was great. Step Brothers. I mean, he's a very accomplished movie maker at this point, former SNL writer. I don't know if this movie's good, man. It's kind of disjointed, similar to Bandersnatch. I found myself kind of like feeling like things were choppy. It didn't really flow all that great at points. But I also left like thinking about it more than most movies that I saw this year, and I was like, Adam McKay, he didn't make a bad movie, but is this a good movie?
I think it is. I liked it. But you're right, it is very polarizing. And I think a lot of the criticism is not about what you just said about it being choppy and tonally jumbled and stuff like that, right? Those are fair criticisms and observations. But I saw a lot of people harping on it's like it lionizes Dick Cheney. It doesn't have enough punch. Terrible time to have this. Who is this for? I didn't understand any of that. It's like I watched this movie and I hated Dick Cheney. How could anyone see anything other than that? I just didn't understand that. And I just thought it was really like partisan like takes, And it's like, yes, it's very on the nose by design, right? It's very partisan. It's very it's very in your face about how it feels about the subject. So is BlacKkKlansman. Like another movie I like. So like I could not stop making that connection in my head. Like what is the difference? Like BlacKkKlansman gets very in your face and at the end. It's the same idea. But Vice, I liked it because I thought it was unconventional to a T, and I thought seeing that in a biopic on its own is nice because a lot of biopics are quite formulaic, quite predictable, if you will, right? This is like the great man, right? The famous, powerful mover and shaker, right? So they did it differently. And, there were things I didn't like. Like I thought some of the visual cues were like really on the nose and maybe didn't add them a lot. Like sometimes it's like he got the boot and then we see boots on the ground. I was like, all right, didn't need that one. That's okay.
Yeah.
But like the absurdist dinner scene when Alfred Molina is the waiter, I love that. That was awesome.
Yep.
So I think I just liked it. Even if it doesn't totally work, perhaps I thought it was such a cool, refreshing swing in terms of how you want to construct a film that I really liked it.
The thing I think that's interesting, because McKay is taking Dick Cheney, who he even alludes to it in the beginning, like he's known to be a very private and a person who's shrouded in a lot of secrecy, although he's had this enormous impact on American politics, and especially in the last 20 years has been probably one of the most, depending how you look at it, either fighters for power for the president or destroyers of democracy, modern
unitary
democracy.
Executive.
Yes, and he's making a lot of leaps here. I mean, like the scene where at the end where he's giving his other daughter permission to go on TV and basically say that she doesn't agree with gay marriage and to like basically ostracize his daughter Mary. We don't know if that happened, but that's McKay's portrayal of what he thinks happened in that event. McKay's filling in a lot of the gaps here for the viewer, and I think he's trying to obviously get a point across. So like you said, I think your point is good that BlacKkKlansman in this, I don't, if you can accept one, you should be able to accept the other. I think of the piece that I'm left with, and going back to my criticism, and like you said, some of the on the nose stuff, it was like the ending where he broke the fourth wall and was talking to the viewer, or like the alternate reality where Dick Cheney decided not to go back into politics and live a life of privacy and supporting his daughters and his wife. Like all that stuff I found very like, I don't know, schmarmy, just kind of like, why is this happening? Like we didn't need this to get the point across. You did that effectively in all the other scenes. Like you said, that Alfred Molina scene is like, one of the most effective ones, just to be like, wow, these people are just huge pieces of shit who don't care about anybody but themselves, and
Mhm.
they're very grotesque in how
Yeah.
little they care about others. I do think there was a lot of strengths to this, and the performances of what I come back to. I already mentioned Bale, but I thought Steve Carell as
Yeah.
Rumsfeld was electric.
Rummy.
Yeah, every time he came on the screen, I just got this big smile because he was just having a great time. Um, Amy Adams, I thought was very strong, and Rockwell and Bale together were phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like their
Rockwell was
chemistry was,
perfect as
yeah,
Bush.
like, unbelievable. I'd never seen a better impression than that of
Yeah.
Bush.
And we've got
Um,
a lot too, like we had the Josh Brolin W movie, we had
yep,
stuff on SNL. I think that's the best George W. Bush we've ever had. Maybe
definitely.
besides of like Frank Caliendo, I guess. But like, I thought Rockwell was good, and you know, shout out Carell again, just because I didn't think he was that good in Beautiful Boy. I thought he was trying too hard,
Mhm.
and he just had a big L with Welcome to Marwen. So it's nice to remind everyone that he does have strengths as a actor when he's pseudo serious. It just needs to be the right role. And I thought he was well cast as Rumsfeld, and I was skeptical going in. I wasn't sure how that would go, but he was really good.
Do you think this gets any other than Bale any nominations for performances?
It's tight. I think I don't think any other performances. You know, eh, they
Maybe
love
Amy
Amy Adams
Adams.
at the Oscars,
Yeah.
so I wouldn't be surprised. But this is kind of a similar performance to what she's done before, like The Master. Really,
Hmm.
pretty easy analog there.
Yep.
But those races are pretty tight. I think Bale's a lock, obviously.
Hmm.
Um, but we mentioned the screenplay and its unconventionalness that might hurt it in terms of getting a screenplay nomination, because that is a tight category. I
Hmm.
still think it'll get in there for Best Picture, um, but then it's tough. We can't use the Globes as a predictor for this, but I think it'll get in there. They can have up to 10, but McKay probably won't get in for Best Director.
Hmm.
That's way too complicated right now, so way too tight. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's the reaction is it really has surprised me. I have to say, I did not expect this because there's so much fervor. People like ascertaining that the movie is horrible and like 1 star and the worst movie trying to be good ever. There's a lot of hyperbole around the film, and I don't know. I think it's takey to be takey.
Well, I think it's also just it embodies the current climate in politics that there's very little middle ground of anything right now. It's all very polarized. So,
Mhm.
going to be interesting to see how that plays out with the awards nominations coming up later in the month, and we'll be talking about that. So hit that subscribe button.